Rolling.
Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1459, January 9, 2025, and I forgot to write down the weather records. I can assure you that it was really cold on some day on this day, and it was a little warmer on some day on this day.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Haidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
49.50. And the record low is 32 below.
When was it 49? See, the whole point of that would be to have the year. You could have said
73.
60. I mean, what?
Just
Never
call 'em
mind.
like
It's
73.
okay. I think the GLers can get by without one day of this.
Nope, I'm Rain Manning the.
Well, and you do that. You'll recall the other day I suggested we build a fake Mount Everest.
Yeah.
Just because it would mitigate the environmental damage that apparently is occurring at the real Mount Everest with all of the human waste. And I said, let's just build a fake one. It's got bathrooms.
Let's go.
And you know,
Mount Manure.
yeah, the whole deal. Well, GLers figure out anything. And Mike from the heart of mining country in the upper peninsula of Michigan writes, I think I can help you out a little bit with your Mount Souchere project. I calculated the volume of dirt needed to replicate Mount Everest in your backyard, or more feasibly at the Olson estate. I assumed a slope of 45 degrees on the mountain, which makes the base of the mountain about 11 miles across. The volume of dirt needed will be just shy of 1 trillion square yards, or 290 million Olympic-sized swimming pools, or possibly 5 trillion boxes of paper clips. I added the paper clips.
Wow.
To get that volume of dirt, we will have to scrape about 10 feet of topsoil off the entire state of Minnesota. And given the average dump truck size, moving dirt at a pace of 1 dump truck per load per minute, it will take about 180,000 years. When do we start? FYI, we better account for a significant number of switchbacks if we hope to accommodate the average GLer attempting to scale a 45-degree mountain. Let me know if you want me to calculate the number of bathrooms needed if we set them every 5,000 feet on the switchback paths. I know a porta-potty guy who would love to get the contract. Mike from the heart of mining country in the upper peninsula of Michigan. I think what he's telling me is that it's just another one of my ideas that's going nowhere. Have you noticed the presence of the supposed big hitters in TV journalism have arrived in L.A.?
Yeah.
Including
rushed to the
Dave
scene.
Muir, David Muir of Channel 5. This fraud takes the cake. He's wearing a yellow vest. I'm sure they all were required to. And on the back, eagle-eyed viewers have noted that he's got it crimped together with clothespins because it makes him look better.
Is it airtight then
well,
to keep the?
Does it? God, I'm rushing to this guy's defense.
I wouldn't. He's a phony. He's been a phony in everything
well,
he does.
he's so tiny he can't find one that fits him. That's what my excuse
He's
was.
just a widow guy.
No,
Those things are made for real men.
In addition to realizing what a fraud he is, this is the thought that occurred to me. You've got a major global city burning down. It's a very catastrophic situation.
Yeah.
And you've got this idiot flies in, is probably driven to the scene in a limousine, and they give him a yellow vest to wear, which I would suspect he would be required to. And in the middle of this turmoil, in the middle of this conflagration, somebody has to go find some clothespins for him.
Yeah.
A clothespin is not something you'd have on your person. I don't know anybody who carries a clothespin.
Damn, I wish I had one in my pocket right now.
I know you
I
do,
feel
but
like
you don't.
Monty Hall right now.
The things that you get bent out of shape.
I am.
about.
I'm
I
not
know.
done.
Just
So that
so
means
awesome.
somebody. That means somebody who could have been putting out a fire.
Yeah.
Instead, had to go find some clothespins for this jerk.
I'm outraged, I tell
I am
you.
I am
outraged.
too.
We need to do something about this immediately.
Harumph,
Harumph.
harumph.
I didn't get a harumph out of Reavers.
I mean, come on. That's the last thing on your mind is how you should look, you fruitcake.
But it's the first thing for
But
all
it's the
of them.
first thing on his
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
How will I look? Who gives a bleep how you look?
You do realize that a lot of those reporters that do stand-ups, they have a mirror within reach. And they no, I'm not joking.
He's not.
And they check themselves right before they go live.
Yeah. Or they have a monitor. They just sit and look and make sure their hair's combed.
I just thought, clothespin. Who's going to
Come
have time
on.
to go get a
Right.
clothespin?
Or maybe it's in a tackle box at the ready.
I just love how you can find controversy out of just nothing at all. It's so
That's
awesome.
You know what? That's my gift.
That's what you
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
That's my gift.
Your gift to us.
That's right. Now let's stay in L.A. The devastation is terrible. I've got so many thoughts about it, but my eyes have been opened to another level of learning we can achieve about life on the third rail.
Let's have it.
Because I feel if the show has accomplished nothing else in its history,
Nothing else in its history.
we've
Really sad.
learned about the third rail and
Yes.
how to distinguish it from the lives that we lead.
Yeah.
They lead a different life.
Totally.
And I think we've learned that Americans have turned over politics to the wrong people and apparently don't care. It could be that life in the United States is still so strong and still chugs along so apparently satisfactorily that we're still able to ignore the complete uselessness of the people we elect. All right?
That's
with me so
yeah,
far?
Tough
Yeah.
road, but okay.
Absolutely.
All right, so now I get a letter that I didn't know I was going to get, but it leads into my thinking on this. It's from Scott. Good morning. The LA fires leave so much to unpack. First, it looks like the Democrats were in search of and attempting to elevate another biracial female politician, LA Mayor Karen Bass. Now, she was in Ghana when the fires broke out.
Okay.
She went on a Washington delegation, was going over to Ghana for the installation of a new fake leader in Ghana. And so she
Puppet
went.
regime.
And we'll get back to Karen in a moment. The L.A. mayor in Africa serves about as much benefit for constituents as Ilhan Omar's trip to Cuba benefited Congressional District 5, but I digress. Bass's absence amid the fires brought to mind the smell of burning tires in Minneapolis amid the inept leadership of Fry and Walz. Minnesotans are clearly not alone in inept Democratic leadership. The fact that Boss sought to cut the L.A. Fire Department by a budget of $17.5 million will hopefully be her downfall. That is a fact. That firefighting budget in L.A. was cut. She wanted it to be $23 million, but it was cut to $17.5.
Okay.
As I watched L.A.'s reliably Democrat Congressional District 32 laid to waste by fire, I just wondered how many Teslas were burning in those expensive garages and just how many carbon credits will have to be purchased and trees planted to offset the carbon emissions. Certainly, the always available climate change will be the culprit once the flames have died down. Will the 100,000 people forced to evacuate be able to find hotels, or are they being used to house newcomers? A question worth asking, I believe. By newcomers, he means illegals. First, finally, I have done a little research regarding the FEMA funding for the care and feeding of illegal aliens. Oops, I meant to say newcomers. And see that it is a federal funding shell game of epic proportions. Hard to actually say what or whose budgets were moved for this purpose, but I am hopeful that the money can be diverted rather than printed, as Sleepy Joe has done, to help the uninsured in L.A. who lost their homes. All kidding aside, having lost a home to a fire 20 years ago, it is not a laughing matter, but the political irony is difficult to ignore. Hail the Flashlight King, Town Councilman Scott Nelson. He's thinking along the lines that I've been thinking. Karen Bass is the mayor of Los Angeles, and she's getting a lot of criticism because when the fires broke out, she was in Ghana. And at first blush, you would think, well, there's really no reason for the mayor of Los Angeles to be in Ghana. That's
right. It's a weird flex.
And in fact, she went to Ghana knowing full well that red flag alerts were in play, and that second fact that's been receiving a lot of criticism is that there's no water to fight the fires. The spokespeople for the Los Angeles Fire Department say the reservoirs have been full. They've had record winter water in L.A.
Okay.
The reservoirs were filled. There's a lot of people want to believe that Gavin Newsom went out and turned the taps so the water would all run into the ocean. As near as I can tell, that's not true. I think Gavin Newsom is a dreadful, dreadful cur, but I don't think he emptied the reservoirs. They've been tapped. What probably is the most accurate statement is that there's been so much pressure and so much demand for water that the water supply has not been able to keep up. They turn on a hose and it's a dribble. They can't get enough water.
But there was a story with Newsom and dams and protecting a class of fish, right? Wasn't there a story?
That's not in my interest right now. I don't know that those dams had anything to do with the demand for water in L.A. County.
All right.
And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and you'll just have to correct me, maybe next week or something. Correct me.
Wait a couple days.
Yeah. Let it sink in. 72 hours.
No, what I'm saying is let's try to keep this all in context. This is a catastrophic fire. Much of the demand for the water was established by homeowners who, with great futility, the poor homeowners were out there with their garden hose at full blast trying to save their property, and multiply that by the thousands and thousands, and you can see the demand on water. And then the fire department came along, and they plugged into the hydrants, and at first they had water, and then they slowly noticed the water is disappearing. I don't think... if somebody can prove me wrong, I'm more than happy to say that. I don't think the absence of water is a political problem any more than the demand for water is a political problem. But we tend to make everything political.
Yeah, we do.
So I don't have anything to say about their use of water. I thought maybe they're doing the best they can. It's a difficult topography. There's nothing in this area to make it analogous to. I've tried desperately to come up with a topographical analogy in Minnesota, and you just can't. This is a real difficult area to fight fires, and then it's all compounded by the wind. Let's get back to Karen Bass, the absent mayor, who's now back in Los Angeles. Shamed enough, apparently, to have it arranged for her to get back to L.A. as quickly as possible. Let's start with the fact that there's nothing she can do about these fires.
Right. But be on hand.
Well, even to be on hand, there's nothing she could have accomplished. What we see in her absence is life on the third rail. She's not the mayor to make sure fires get put out.
Okay.
She's the mayor to make sure DEI is enforced. She's the mayor who is supposed to go to Ghana because that's what third rail people get to do once they've achieved a kind of third rail royalty, which would be accomplished by becoming the mayor of a large enough city like L.A. I don't think Melvin Carter and Jacob Fry are royalty enough to have been summoned to the Ghana.
No, they're still in the minor leagues.
To
Yeah.
have been summoned to the Ghana trip. That was for a little bit higher level of third rail.
Like a Brandon Johnson from Chicago?
He probably was high enough to be summoned. I don't know if he went.
Okay.
What we're seeing is what we're seeing in the case of L.A. is that the absence of her ability to, I looked her up, she worked for a time as a physician's assistant, but virtually her entire life, and she's in her 60s, virtually, if not 70, virtually her entire life has been in the public sector. She's a third rail veteran, and virtually her entire life has been dedicated to life on the third rail, not dedicated to the people she ostensibly serves. I'm not suggesting she's a bad human being. I don't know anything about her. But she's in the industry of politics.
Right.
She's not in the service of politics. She's in the industry. And in that industry, it's a perk to get a trip to Ghana. It's a perk to have a nice office. It's a perk to do all this stuff that has nothing to do with life. Nothing to do with life on the ground of the citizens. Now, the other thing I noticed, and believe it or not, I'm trying to say this all with sensitivity, because this ain't funny what's happening
No,
there.
it's not.
Every once in a while, whoever's covering it, most principally one of the cable channels, either Fox or CNN, they'll break to what has now become fairly frequent press conferences at certain intervals. And these press conferences feature an amazing variety of the third rail.
Okay.
City administrators, county administrators, assistants to fire chiefs, director of communications for the mayor, on and on and on. And they all give you the language they learn in the third rail. They don't really have much to say other than, we stand united as one Los Angeles. Okay, what's that got to do with a fire? Nothing. They are so steeped in their profession, which is to be in the industry of
Right.
politics, that they've completely lost sight of any way to act with some humane capability. Now, they all put on the good front and say, we're sorry that you lost your personal belongings and this is a tragedy. All of that's true. But that's where it ends for them. They don't know what else to do or say, because that's all they do in the third rail is pat each other on the back and get various promotions or move horizontally to another position. This is the point where I stop. I didn't know where I was taking this, but it'll come back to me.
All right.
You saw a bit of it here in the George Floyd riots with letting a precinct burn, because that's just bricks and mortar. We're more worried about justice and fairness, you know.
What should they have done?
Well, I suppose when I say the mayor being in town during a fire really was meaningless, and it is, because she wasn't going to go out there and grab a hose. There was nothing she could really do about putting out a fire. But maybe the mayor of Los Angeles has to have as her top 3 priorities fire preparedness.
I'm glad you went that way. Keep going. I've got something to add.
But instead of fire preparedness as in her top 3 priorities,
Yeah.
I would imagine it didn't make the list of priorities. Or if it did, it was low down in the ranking.
Okay.
But what it suggests a number of things by not making it a high-ranking priority. It suggests that man has lost sight of nature. It suggests that she doesn't know her history. It suggests that everyone she's involved with doesn't know their sense whens. It suggests that she doesn't recognize that fires are inevitable because she hasn't studied the history. It suggests that she was satisfied that because they have a fire department, they can put out a fire, and that's not the case at all. As a top 3 priority, the mayor of Los Angeles and the city administrators and all these other people who stand up at these press conferences and pat each other on the back.
Yeah.
They pat each other on the back. They should have been working doggedly to have been prepared for a day coming when, you know what? The mayor could have called all their people together. You know what's going to happen here in L.A. someday? You're going to get the right combination of wind. We're going to get the right combination of dry vegetation. And that bleeper is going to burn right to the ocean.
We're talking mitigation.
We need to be prepared for that.
Let's go. Yeah.
If that means digging a giant reservoir in Pacific Palisades, that's what you do.
Let's go back to yesterday
Yeah.
before we get to today. Yesterday, you brought up, I think it was ranchers, farmers, yahoos that would burn stuff just for the hell of it.
No, prior to the railroad occupying a great deal of the basin of Los Angeles, there were cattlemen up there who lit the fires
Ranchers.
for amusement.
So that reminded me, and I didn't bring it up yesterday, of the Native Americans that used to burn the prairie.
Yep.
And that would rejuvenate the prairie. It would give fresh grass. The bison would come along, eat the grass down, and that itself was mitigation. So our buddy Vic, who listens every day, looked this up in regards to the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in Simi Valley. That's north of there.
It's near Santa Barbara.
Yeah, they use goats.
Oh.
And the goats eat everything in
Yep.
sight,
Yep.
therefore getting rid of all that forest debris. Now, that even if they had done that in these hills, in the canyons, the fire still probably would have gone through, but wouldn't it have slowed things down considerably to the point where you might have been able to fight the fire if you had all the water in place?
Yeah, but the wild card is that Santa Ana wind.
Yeah,
That-
exactly.
that
It
was
was the
the-
right combination of Mother Nature.
And they weren't prepared for it.
But can you even get close to a fire like that, close enough to slow it down?
With the kind of preparedness I have in mind, I would think that fire would not have been as devastating as it is.
Yeah, but we don't know. But yeah, I would tend to agree with you. But we don't know for certain.
If it ever happens here, and it's unlikely to, but we have other problems here, blizzards, tornadoes, you might need a generator. And EcoFun has this incredible sale of Yamaha 4-stroke generators, fuel efficient, electric start, quiet, half price damn near. You know, $13.99 for $7.99 on
a good deal.
on a Yamaha generator.
Yeah.
It's EcoFun Motorsports in Forest Lake / Columbus, just east of Interstate 35 on Highway 97. You can't miss it. Brand new building, full of recreational fun, of motorcycles, scooters, youth recreational equipment, snowplows, 4x4s, helmets, apparel, service, you name it. Plus, electric bike capital of the world. And right now, a great opportunity to get up there and get a Yamaha generator. The way the world's going, we all might need a generator. And it's ecofunmotorsports.com. And don't forget, there's an EcoFun in Burnsville on the Service Road of Life, ecofunmotorsports.com.
82, I was 17, my old man was 55.
On him. Get him up. Oh, here we go.
This guy wears many hats, not indoors. Joe Souchere.
Reavers is not responding to abuse today for some reason. He must be sick or something. I can't get a rise out of him. This is perfect placement for this. I want to talk about, what am I talking about? Seafoam motor treatment. The reason it's perfect placement is because Joe just talked to you about these EF 2200s and all the Yamaha generators that Tim at Eco has on sale right now. If you're headed that way, either before you stop in and say hi to Tim or right afterwards, stop into your local NAC, your Frats, Auto Parts, wherever, C-stores. Pick a couple, 2-3 cans off the shelf there of Seafoam motor treatment, because if you have a generator, and I'm talking from experience here, you're going to want to douse those things with Seafoam on the regular, because there's going to be times when you use it a lot, especially ice fishing. You're going to run tanks and tanks and tanks of gas through that thing. And you want to throw in a little bit of Seafoam every now and then, but then there's going to be periods where you can't even remember where you stashed it. It's been so long. That's when Seafoam really comes into play. It'll keep that garbage that we call gasoline fresh and viable. It also helps with all the passages, the ports, the jets, and everything in that generator. Make that thing run like a charm. Seafoam, it's safe for your generator. Gasoline, diesel, one-lungers, 12 cylinders, doesn't matter what it is. If it's fossil fuel fired, Seafoam is going to help. And like I said, it's available the world over. A global company with a local, there are guys, they're right there in Eden Prairie. A global reach. How do I say that? A local company with a global reach
in a world of bad gas.
And a true champion in a world of bad gas. I don't know what I'm talking about, except I know it's Seafoam.
Is that better, Ken?
That is perfect for Matthew. Look at that, Joe. Look at your monitor.
Oh my God.
How you guys doing today? Doing today good?
Getting back to Karen Bass. I don't think she's unique. I think any mayor of color in L.A. Would have gone on the Ghana trip. I don't think a white mayor would have, just because it probably wouldn't have been included. That's all.
You're going to have to break this down and explain to me.
Yeah.
Why is it so bad that she went?
Well, it's not so bad that she went. What's bad is that doing things like that have taken precedence over doing the things the citizens actually need. She served the citizens of L.A. in no possible way by going to Ghana. Nothing. Right. It was a perk that the taxpayers have to pay for.
Did you see a portion of the press conference where a reporter was asking her questions and she couldn't even answer?
Yeah, she went Biden on him. I thought she was going to walk off in the wrong direction.
The guy that cornered her at was it the Jetwake one, Ken, that you're talking about?
Yeah, she just stood there blinking.
Yeah. And then she said, "You can find help at URL."
What? She was like me doing a Seafoam man.
Let me not get too far away, because we're really on to something. This is true now. This would have been true the closer you get to the country's tallest buildings anywhere in the country. That the mayor, they're Mysterians. There's not a doubt in my mind that she's a Mysterian. The things that are important to the average working American raising a family are not important to Mysterians. That's the great divide in the country.
Why?
The things that are important to you and your family are not important to the political class.
Was it a gaslighting, or was it? It's not overnight.
No, it's not overnight, but it's something we've allowed. We don't run for office.
Right.
It's become the province of political activists, careerists. And they have a different view of life and a different view of what they want life to be than we do. And their view of life, by the way, is ruinous. Los Angeles is overrun by homeless encampments. Oakland, California is overrun by homeless encampments. The city of Minneapolis is here. I got a piece.
But isn't there a handbook for the job description of the mayor of Los Angeles? You must be on hand when we are in peril of any sort. Maybe that doesn't exist. Maybe there's no guidelines that hey, you're required to be here.
You don't need a guidebook. What you need is a mindset that is directed to husbanding the city you're presiding over. And husbanding that city does not mean you make sure you have 12 lesbian firefighters. It means that the firefighters you have, lesbian or not, have enough water to access to put out a fire. If that means we needed to build a giant cauldron in Palisades, that's what we should be doing. That's where we should be spending our money. We shouldn't be spending our money on DEI conferences.
Right.
We shouldn't be spending our money on me going to Ghana. We shouldn't be spending our money on turning the schools into failed academies. We should be spending our money on what concerns the voter, the citizen.
Why don't you run for a real office?
Because I'm too old now. I should have done it 40 years ago.
You should have.
Joe, they did or tried to do exactly that in 2014. Did you happen to read the essay by Hugh Hewitt's producer, Dwayne Patterson?
No.
The voters paid $7.5 billion, at least theoretically, to make this happen in 2014. Newsom has been the governor for the past 6 of those 10 years. And would you like to take a stab at how many of these new reservoir or water capture systems have been completed?
0.
You're absolutely right. Quadrillions of gallons of fresh water has been lost, or worse, intentionally pumped into the ocean.
Why?
And then,
Why?
Why indeed? Why indeed? And then insurance companies, to make it worse, have pulled out of the LA basin years ago because state regulators would not allow them to adjust their rates to cover the increased exposure risk that was growing along with the undergrowth and brush in the hills.
So the people now suffering by the absence of insurance as the cost you have paid for electing the wrong people.
Bingo.
Wow. Pretty heavy-duty price.
And, Ben Affleck can afford it if his mansion burns down. John Anderson, with the wife and 3 kids,
right,
they can't afford it.
Well, who's the A-list now? John Goodman, Eugene Levy,
I don't
Billy
care.
Crystal?
That's neither here nor there. The temptation is for the press, of course, is to dwell on the fact a lot of actors live there.
I have that in my news, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll wait.
10 actors live there and 200,000 people who aren't actors.
I agree. That's
Just in conclusion here, he finishes, insurance companies knew trouble was coming. Everyone honestly knew this day would eventually come, but Newsom would love for you to believe that it's climate change.
Do you think the mayor, and again, I'll just use Karen Bass, but again, it could be anybody. Do you think she consults with people like insurance executives and hydrologists and climatologists regarding wind? Do you think she talks to people who live up in Palisades and they remember the fire of 2012? And no, she talks to like-minded people who circle around her, clutching their iPads and scheduling her next meeting, which is about DEI or some BS that has nothing to do
Ghana
with running the city. Nothing. She should have been. For all I know, insurance companies did seek to discuss this with her. I don't know that.
Isn't that's kind of one of the things I was going to bring up. Isn't that going to be the logical next step where insurance companies might even go after the city and vice versa?
Well, I don't know why. If they're not insuring anybody, they have no claim.
But Joe, we're talking about billions of dollars worth of damage.
Right. But if they're not insuring anybody, they're not on the hook for the billions of dollars.
But most of these homes have homeowners insurance.
I don't know how many don't or do.
I guess my point was what you were just saying, proving negligence on behalf of city officials. That's what the insurance company would claim.
And if it can be demonstrated that Newsom, we need to understand completely why reservoirs have remained empty under Newsom, because I'm learning that many reservoirs are not empty.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But again, the demand has been so great that there's the
Well, why are they not drawing water from them?
They're out. Those reservoirs were empty, but now we're full, but now they're not. And there's where's the backup plan?
Yeah. Where's the backup plan?
Well, a good mayor and a good governor, they're thinking of things like, where's the backup plan? They're not worried about a snail, an endangered snail.
How about going to Ghana?
Endangered snails are important. Somewhere in the food chain, they're presumably important. But I would place a human life above the snail. Am I out on a limb there?
You are way out on a
I
limb.
am out on a limb there with Mysterians. Mysterians will take a snail over a human.
That's foolish.
I'm not saying bass would. I'm not saying bass. Would. W-O-U-L-D.
Right.
I'm not talking about a tree.
I was going to say, I can get you a basswood tree.
Yeah,
Those
what do you
things
need?
grow
I can
like
get you
missiles.
Basswood by 3
Yeah.
o'clock.
Horrible trees.
Goats love them.
I did find some numbers related to Chris's question.
Yeah.
Insurance companies between 2020 and 2022 declined to renew 2.8 million homeowner policies in California, including 500,000 in Los Angeles County. So, yeah, there's a lot of houses probably that burned down without any insurance.
But how can you have a house without homeowners
And they
insurance? Isn't that
declined
Pay
to
cash.
insure them because they knew what could potentially happen, which now has happened.
Mm-hmm.
And in the absence of the regulatory effort to make sure that didn't happen, the insurance companies bailed. They're in the business to make money.
And
They left.
Rook, to answer your question, if there's no mortgage associated with the property, they
Yep.
don't have to have mortgage insurance.
Is that what you said? Pay cash, Kenny?
Yeah, pay cash.
Okay,
Joe,
Kenny. Right.
Yeah, well, I'm not talking about us.
Yeah, he's not
obviously.
talking about
Okay,
us.
I'm not talking to us. Bass cut, you said $17.5 million. Where would that money have been spent if it was still available?
That we did find out also. The first, it was 18 total, we'll say roughly.
Yep.
11 of it was administrative offices, 11 million that they wouldn't fill up again. But the other 7 million was for firefighters overtime.
Right.
Okay.
In the administrative offices, by the way, no GLer. I'm certainly not questioning the work of firefighters and cops.
Well, of course not.
They're up there choking to death on this smoke. But there's a great example. What do you think the L.A. Fire Department is like in terms of its administration wing? Do you think are they? To me, it would seem to me they're not all necessarily concerned with fires.
I can't speculate on that. I don't know.
What do you think they are concerned with?
DEI. Is it true that Adam Carolla applied to be a firefighter
I
in L.A.?
saw that.
Or is that a troll?
I saw that. I didn't
never
click
heard
on
that
it
before.
yet.
I've never heard that.
I'll
before.
look at it.
And he said, well, it'll take years.
Did he say this on his show?
I saw it on a tweet, which is why I'm
Really?
questioning is it
Gotta
real
stop
or
doing
not.
that.
He had to
Joe.
move into a hotel room
Yeah, I don't know where he lives.
because
Wait a minute. I thought he moved his operation to Texas. Am
No,
I thinking of somebody
Adam
else?
Adam's one of the ones that stayed.
Oh.
So Donna, a GLer that lives in the Florida Keys in the winter, chimed in and said they have the same problem in Florida with insurance companies ditching them. It's just impossible to keep insurance.
Well, maybe that's, if not God's way, the insurance company's way of saying, you're really making a lousy choice where you want to put this house.
I don't see it that way. Now you're treating insurance companies like they're these great lords of wisdom, and all they care about is not writing you a check, as far as I'm concerned.
But if they won't write you a check, if you live in a hurricane area, should you live in a hurricane area?
I think you're asking the wrong question.
Well,
I think
no,
you
I'm
should
asking
be.
the wrong guy because you live up in Cornville.
No,
wherever the
no,
hell you
listen
are.
to me. Stop it for a second. Why should where you live affect you getting insurance? They should be available to you wherever you live. They don't want to write you a check. You're too much of a risk. Go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, because Ken, I completely agree with you, but didn't we have that story? We discussed it on this show years ago. Because of certain policies and practices, government related, we had that story that insurance companies were no longer going to issue new policies.
You know what we need to do is we need to talk to somebody higher up in an insurance company, because I know there's somebody right now pounding on the desk listening to us.
Well, I didn't even want to talk about insurance because it's dull as hell. But I don't mean to portray the insurance companies as lords of wisdom, but if you're sitting in an insurance company and you're answering to stockholders and everything else, and you're saying, look, these people in Palisades have done nothing to prepare for a fire.
Right.
I guess I understand why they say, see you later.
Not me.
No. Well, in other words, then, you're a communist and you want them to just get paid for the fire.
If I'm paying, if I can afford the premiums, I expect...
Well, that's another way to
coverage.
look at it. What if the insurance company came to you? You got a $800,000 house on a normal city street in Palisades, and they came to you and said, "Look, your insurance premium has been $1,100 every 6 months. We'll continue to insure you, but it's now going to be $3,300 every 6 months."
I don't like it, but at least insurance is available.
Yeah, because right now these people have nothing.
Right, correct.
This is from the BusinessInsider.com website, because I remembered us bringing this up a while ago. As wildfires destroy homes in Los Angeles, some homeowners may face rebuilding without insurance payouts. That's because some insurance companies have been cutting back on their business in California in recent years as wildfires in the state have worsened. State Farm, for instance, said in 2023 that it would no longer accept new homeowners insurance applications in the state of California. Then last year, the company said it would end coverage for 72,000 homes and apartments in the state as well. Both announcements cited risks from catastrophes as one of the reasons for the decisions.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, I want to talk about politics because I know that better than the insurance business. And you can...
I don't see you as a very patient insurance agent.
Not at all.
I never went into the insurance business. I
Listen,
don't have
dummy.
I have no interest in it. What I do have an interest in is positing the idea that I would suspect all insurance coverage would still be in play if the political class was doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Okay. I'm glad you said that right now, because Steve weighing in on YouTube, and again, this is hearsay, so take it with a grain of salt, but Steve said, I heard that California law would not allow premiums to be raised, and that's why the insurance companies bailed.
Oh, so almost like the rent deal.
I don't know if it's fact, but that makes sense.
Well, it does make sense, because if the politicians aren't going to do what they should be doing to prepare for a fire, then it stands to reason we're taking a greater risk in covering you, therefore you must pay me more.
Yeah.
Well, and the Karen Basses of the world have not prepared for a catastrophic fire in the Hollywood Hills.
At the very least, get rid of the underbrush, just get some goats, and get those reservoirs, or as you call them, cauldrons, built.
Well, I'm imagining a big pot in the ground.
Big black cauldron.
No,
Big black cauldron.
It paints a picture.
Right. Why don't we take a time out and come back with Johnny?
How about first I tell you about our friends at North American Banking Company, my bank. I was tired of being a number to my big national bank, and I wanted to make a switch. And so that's what I did. I met Mr. Bilski and the entire crew at North American Banking Company, and I'm so glad that I decided to take my banking elsewhere. And I think that you will be too. Here's the deal. You can check them out at any one of their 6 Twin Cities locations. I frequent both Roseville and 50th in France, but you can also see them in Hastings, Woodbury, Shoreview, and also Maple Grove. North American Banking Company offers all of the services as the other banks. It doesn't matter whether you're looking to buy a home, finance a new home renovation project, or get that new car that you've been thinking about. My friends at North American Banking Company are going to be able to help you out. They offer the same online and mobile banking options as the other banks, but you're going to get the unparalleled service of a community bank. They are also locally owned and operated. And here's why that's important. That means loan decisions are made right here in the Twin Cities. They are not sent out of state. So this helps business owners solve problems quickly and expand their business with confidence. They deal with numbers every single day, but you, your family, and your business are never going to be one of them. So your first step is to check them out online. It's nabankco.com to learn more. nabankco.com. It's banking done differently. North American Banking Company, member FDIC, is an equal housing lender.
Go Jenkins.
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores, sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Souchere.
Before John starts, there's an irony at work here. The more American citizens come to the realization that really they're on their own, the more they're willing to not be on their own and let an ineffective government solve things for them. Should I
Say
try
that again.
All right.
Say that again for us in the back of the bus.
Right, let it soak in.
The more it becomes evident that we're on our own to solve our own problems, the more it also becomes evident that very few people are prepared to do so.
So it's your fault you trusted us deal? Is that what you're saying?
Boy, I still got it wrong.
Yeah, you did, but I understand what you're saying because the most of us, and I'm including most GLers, we're ready or we're getting ready or we're semi-ready for the worst.
If you lived in the Pacific Palisades, you either had to figure out a way to prepare for a catastrophic fire sometime in the future, and maybe your preparation would have meant you wouldn't have lived there. you would have gone somewhere else. Or maybe you would have built your house of concrete. Or you would have done something because you realize the government is incapable of helping you.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're incapable of helping you while they've developed constituencies that are more and more dependent on them.
And
There. We're getting there.
As you've brought up for years, I call them the blissfully unaware. They're the ones that run off to the polling places and vote for the wrong person.
Right.
They make votes based on emotional issues instead of what they should be thinking about.
John Haidt in his Los Angeles newsroom.
Well, I'm not really.
Did you
in LA.
move?
I'm in Andover, actually.
Oh, all right.
The news is brought to you by North American Banking Company. I did look up that last thing, Chris, that you talked about. It looks like there is no limitation what the insurance companies can charge in California. And in fact, they've raised, they said they can charge as much as they want, but they have to have a percentage. If they're going to operate in the state, say State Farm, they have to have a percentage of those policies written in the dangerous areas. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Who's
but they
the
can
insurance
charge
company that
much
brought
as
us the Sugar Bowl? Was that State Farm?
I don't know. I think so.
It's where their moronic CEO came out and excused the murderer, the truck driver murderer, and said, we all have differences and we have to understand each other. Was that State Farm?
I'm going to look it up right now.
I think it was.
Sugar Bowl was sponsored by Allstate.
I'm sorry, Allstate. Yeah, I wouldn't have an Allstate policy.
But you're in good hands.
No, I'm not.
You don't know who your policy is with. Come on. You don't even know what kind of dishwasher you have.
Well,
Yeah, electric or gas.
yeah, you
well.
do.
Yeah, I do.
The Canopy Group is a unique
Yes,
insurance
yes,
company
it
in that
is.
it offers 16.
Move on with the local news brought to you by Allstate. Well, maybe not.
No, who's your news brought to us by?
It's brought to us by North American Banking Company. I already said that, though, once,
Thank
Chris.
you.
I said it twice.
Wow.
Governor Walz is the latest to throw his support behind Minnesotan Ken Martin to become the next leader of the Democratic National Committee. Walz endorsing Martin this morning for the job. The 51-year-old Martin, a vegan, is the longtime chair of the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party. Walz is the highest-ranking Democrat to throw his support behind Martin, who is now one of the frontrunners to become the national chair. In recent days, he's picked up endorsements from Democratic delegations in South Dakota, Missouri, Tennessee, Oregon, and Virginia. Martin will square off against a long field of candidates, with Wisconsin State Democratic Chairman Ben Wickler likely being the top challenger. That election will take place on February 1st. Follow-up to a story we had yesterday. That Democratic candidate that we talked about has now dropped out of a special election for a state Senate seat after questions were raised about whether he lived in the district. Mohammed Jamo, one of 8 Democrats running in a special election for Senate District 60, said in a Facebook post on Wednesday that he was suspending his campaign. A resident of the district had filed a petition with the Supreme Court on Monday seeking to invalidate Jama's candidacy because he registered to vote on Election Day in November with an address in a different legislative district. State law requires state House and Senate candidates to live in their district for at least 6 months ahead of an election. Jama did not address the residency question in his Facebook post.
Just imagine that now. There's 8 instantly materialized Democratic candidates who want to get this gig in the industry.
Yeah.
They have nothing to do with you.
There are 2 Republicans, and this is a Democratic stronghold. It's the one where Kerry Dietzig was.
Well, people have to wake up, and they won't.
Brooklyn Park Police report a hazmat situation is contained after the department's SWAT team executed a high-risk warrant early this morning. It happened about 5:30. The Brooklyn Park Police SWAT team executed the warrant along the 6400 block of Zealand Avenue North for an ongoing domestic violence situation. Several people inside the residence were detained without incident, and one man, identified as 54-year-old Sua Tao, was arrested on probable cause for attempted murder. During the investigation, detectives learned the suspect of the warrant may have been in possession of castor beans, which police say are a known hazardous substance. Specially trained personnel from the FBI and the Minnesota National Guard were called to help with the hazmat operation. Police add the public was never in danger, or isn't in danger at this moment. The investigation is ongoing.
But go back to Karen Bass for a minute. Mm-hmm. I was just thinking, you all were referencing seeing her on a video where she was stunned into silence, asked about this, and it was almost as though I don't know anything about a fire. I didn't sign up to do anything about fires.
What are you talking about?
Why does everything happen when I'm away?
What is this, a fire? I'm over here to celebrate diversity in Ghana. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Go to the URL. I'll fill you in.
There was a video that was just submitted by a GLer Mike. This is the LA Department of Water and Power CEO, Janice Quinones. She was explaining basically how they ran out of water. All right, here we go. Cue the talent and...
Water and the first tank...
Oops, sorry. Why is this not playing?
4:45 p.m. yesterday. We ran out of water in the second tank about 8:30 p.m. and the third tank about 3 a.m. this morning. Those tanks help with the pressure on the fire hydrants and the hills of Palisades. And because we were pushing so much water in our trunk line, and so much water was being used before it can get to the tanks, we were not able to fill the tanks fast enough. So the consumption of water was faster than we can provide water in our trunk line. So I want to make sure that you understand there's water on the trunk line. It just cannot get up the hill because we cannot fill the tanks fast enough.
What is the number?
So
We want you to know we have water. We just can't get it to you.
right.
Jeez, easy.
Hey.
Can I answer a question I had during John's last story? Evidently, if you eat or accidentally eat castor beans, you're in for trouble.
Is that a drug? Is it like that
What about castor oil?
marijuana?
Ricin is a natural product that's created from waste from castor beans. Do you have anything more on it, John?
Nope, that's all I had.
All I know is if you're my age and you went to a race, a motorcycle race or a snowmobile race in the 70s, that smell was castor bean oil that you added to two-stroke. And if you smell that now, you will have a flashback that will floor you. It's the best smelling
It is a
burning
good smell.
oil. Oh, my goodness. And then the other one is before they came up with things like Go Lightly that you would drink the night before, that they go up the back door there, they used to give you castor oil, and it had the worst taste ever.
Wasn't castor oil always featured in like Tom and Jerry that they would always give the enemy the castor oil?
Can I get back to who was this
Mary
woman
Poppins.
you just played? I want her name.
That was
We're all over here.
Janice Quinones. She is the LA Department of Water and Power CEO.
Okay, she identified the problem that a real concerned mayor would have been focused on.
Yeah.
They have water in the trunk lines, but no means to get the water to the firefighters. A mayor would have sat down 10 years ago and said, I understand we got reservoirs that are full, and we can use that water and fill our trunk lines and then get that to the hydrants, and the firemen can take over from there. But we're understanding that there's a problem getting it from the trunk lines to the hydrants, either because of gravity or what the problem is. That has to be fixed. Period.
Plan B.
Has to be
And then
fixed.
plan B.
And then you fix it.
Okay.
There you have it.
That should happen now, then, don't you think?
I don't know why you're
shouldn't
not
that
running.
be a topic of discussion at this
It's
point?
well, they're a day late and a dollar short, but
Sure,
it better
but-
happen now. So the next time, it may be 50 years from now, all of that will be rebuilt and just as lovely, and it won't happen again because they'll have figured out how to get water from the trunk line to the fire
But
hydrants.
isn't that a case of too little, too late?
Yes, but you got to do it because we're not going to stop living on Earth.
I get that, but what's the difference then? But from like
Shush. John, take over.
Okay.
You're all right. I love you dearly.
You have been silenced.
Just leading me in the wrong direction.
Chris, I love you too.
Yeah.
And in other news, the never-ending Ruby Slippers story continues. A hearing where the Minnesota
No.
man... What?
Go ahead. I just can't believe it's still in the news.
A hearing where a Minnesota man was expected to plead guilty to hiding the stolen pair of ruby slippers that Judy Garland wore in The Wizard of Oz was postponed indefinitely yesterday after his attorney told the court the man's in the hospital. U.S. District Judge Patrick Schiltz granted the continuation at the request of the attorney for 77-year-old Jerry Soliderman of Crystal, who is planning to change his plea to guilty at a hearing that was scheduled for tomorrow. Defense lawyer John Brink said Soliderman was hospitalized January 3rd for inability to walk and sepsis, an infection that can be life-threatening. He wrote that Soliderman remained hospitalized Wednesday and that doctors do not know when he'll be available. Federal prosecutors did not object Soliderman attending his arraignment Monday via video from what looked like a hospital room. He was in a wheelchair and on supplemental oxygen last March. Remember, we saw his picture at his first court appearance. He was then charged with theft of a major artwork, and witness tampering for his role in the Ruby Slippers
But
case.
he was identified as a mob guy, right, John?
I think the other guy was. Remember the Terry Martin? I believe
If
was
Jerry's
the
a
other
mob guy, he just really wasn't a very good mob guy.
Like Tim Conway and Don Nuts.
A B.
They call him
the
Jerry the
A-list.
arthritic.
Yeah.
Sepsis
is just sounds
not
bad.
good.
It just sounds bad.
It's like a bad lake name.
Yes, yeah.
Sepsis.
Yeah.
You got a
see
place on
oozing.
sepsis?
Yeah, there's
You have a
oozing
place
there,
up on
right?
sepsis?
He sold it. He sold it. It was too chunky.
Look at him now.
is not
He is
talking.
mute now.
And the unofficial start of the St.
Isn't
Paul.
it true that if they had the water going up to the lakes, it'd be pumped out the way?
I actually found audio of Adam Carolla. So,
All right.
no, not
They
playing
should draw. They should draw from Lake Sepsis. It'll probably put it out right away.
Rivers
there you
play
go.
it.
No. I'm monitoring to see if he swears. So just bear with me.
It's okay.
The unofficial start of the St. Paul Winter Carnival began
So
this
wait a
week.
minute. Stop, John.
Yeah.
Reavers is listening to somebody else's podcast during
Yes,
the podcast
exactly.
he works on.
Yeah.
Happens
There
more
you
than
go,
you know.
Sushi boy.
Really good stuff.
You wonder why I put the kibosh on things.
Why do you think I want that mute button up here, Kenny?
Yeah, I get it.
The unofficial start to the St. Paul Winter Carnival began this week with the sashing of the 2025 Klondike Kate. Amy Jo Peach from Ms. Zimmerman was announced as the winner. I think it's Amy. You guys tell me it's AME, and then it's got the
She goes by
Accent
Amy.
grave.
apostrophe. Yeah, what do you call it, Rick?
Accent grave.
Okay,
Or
that.
it's
Yeah.
accent aigu.
She is the perfect Klondike Kate.
Yeah, I got to complain about this.
I do too.
You
I
better
do
be
too.
nice.
Oh,
You
are you
be
in my
nice.
head?
I think so.
You two control yourself because
No.
she's the perfect Klondike
No,
Kate.
I'm not ripping Klondike Kate.
You go first.
I'm ripping where they held the event.
Where'd they hold it?
It was in Oakdale.
Well, that's not St. Paul.
Well, right. Have it in St. Paul. Have a St. Paul business. How is that?
Those
And-
days are gone.
What's
okay.
still open?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Right.
The new Klondike Kate Peach.
Wait, what were you
is
thinking?
The Klondike Kate is a tacked-on legend. She doesn't go back to the 1880s.
Okay.
That was tacked on in, 1960 or something. That's just a tacked-on deal. She wasn't part of the original fairy tale.
Okay. Got it.
That's my only
Speaking
complaint.
of-
But that's like saying the Vikings aren't part of the original NFL.
She wasn't part of the original made-up story, is what you're saying, then, Joe.
They had
Thank
to
you,
do-
John. That's
yeah.
what I was saying.
Well, they had to do something to make it interesting because, frankly, I mean, give me a break. Seriously.
St. Paul, come on.
Jeez, you guys.
I ran into King Boreas at Herbie's for an event. He just happened to be there. And I reminded him to have the crew come on Garage Logic at the fair. And he said, well, my reign ends, this year in January or February.
Yeah.
And I said, what kind of talk is that? You're giving up already?
Yeah.
What if this is the year? What if this is the year that you beat the Vulcans? And he said,
Well, Kate is a kind of a swashbuckling saloon gal,
Yes.
and it's a
She's
great
a broad.
character, but
Yeah,
it doesn't
a
go
broad.
back to the beginning of the fiction.
Do you know, since you brought up the beginning, do you know what
The
number
fiction.
St. Paul Winter Carnival this is?
100 and something, I don't know.
139th.
130.
the guy that writes the clues should know that crap.
I don't
Have anything to do with
You
it.
guys milk it 139? Are you kidding me?
139, yep.
Just
The
a
last
call in
two held in Oakdale.
It used
Yeah,
to be.
right.
It used to be a really, really big deal.
Who are the Vulcans?
That was Jesse.
Back when you could drink and drive, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Why don't we take a break here, give Joe some time to write a clue, and we'll be back with more news after this.
Hail the clue writer who sits to my left.
I don't have a damn thing to do with the clues, and you know it.
Do you have a warm house?
No.
You liar, you do too. I know that you have functioning.
Well, I
heating
said
unit.
no. See, I steered you right into
Well,
what you
okay.
could
Well,
have
if you
said.
don't, if you need some work, if you need some help, if it's making funny noises, it's welterheating.com to the rescue. That's 24 hours a day, 7 days. They got 24-hour emergency service. You have to call them at 612-825-6867. Or just remember, welterheating.com. Pull up the website. You can make an appointment online. Hopefully you don't have to use that 24/7 emergency service. But their certified techs are waiting for you. And as it gets colder and you put a little more pressure on that heating unit, make sure it's not making any funny noises. The pros at Welter have been around for over 100 plus, about as long as the St. Paul Winter. In fact, I think they heated the first tent at the Winter Carnival. 4 generations of the Welter family, running by Rick right now. The Twin Cities Metro is what they serve, and they can also get your cooling unit. It's never too early. It's always the season to make sure that cooling unit is going to be ready and hit the ground running for the summer. Air purification system, great blog online that can answer some of your questions for free. But just a good old-fashioned family, great values, and they love Garage Logic. Rick and the crew over there want to remind you, heat up your shelter with the fine folks from Ray N. Welter.
The Earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
You ever watch House Hunters?
Do you want to know when you have a really quality product inside of your home? I can tell you right now, I've got all of you turned to Masters Maples. So yesterday morning, I'm making the waffles for the boys.
Yep.
The little guy goes like this with the empty bottle. Hey, what's going on here?
Let's go here.
You're out already?
We go through a bottle a week at my
And
house.
by waffles, you mean Egos, right?
Well, she buys the healthy toast.
Boo!
But
Buy
Dad
Eggos.
buys the real Eggos. So
Okay.
Time out. I've got your ad for you.
Uh-oh.
We have a bottle of Masters Maples sitting on the thing there, the counter. My wife does not like maple syrup. She does not use maple syrup. She just likes Aunt Jemima or whatever it's called now. She had it, and she absolutely was thrilled.
It's fantastic.
It truly is a delicious maple syrup.
And it's made by a GLer. It's Ben. His personal passion for maple syrup led him to creating Masters Maples 12 years ago. From tap to table, Masters Maples brings you 100% pure maple syrup. It's a gluten-free, natural sweetener that can be used in cooking, grilling, and glazing, and getting yelled at by your kids when your bottle is empty. So go online, mastersmaples.com. You can order the traditional pure maple syrup, the bourbon barrel-aged maple syrup, which is also really good, by the way, maple sugar for cooking. They also have fantastic sweet and savory seasonings and rubs.
Just dribble some of that maple syrup over the bacon
God,
when
it's
you
just gonna
bake it
take
in
10
the
minutes?
oven at 400 for it'll crystallize and it's fabulous.
One other thing, if you got the little link sausages, Dip them in there. Oh,
Oh, Johnny!
Good. That is pretty good.
Joe, how do you enjoy your Master's Maple?
With your mouth shut.
You can order one of, the holiday season is over, but you know what? If you want to order gift packs for family, friends, or coworkers, do it online right now at mastersmaples.com. Joe, Masters Maples, taste the difference.
Thanks, Chris. And by the way, Aunt Jemima is now the Pearl Milling Company. I found out that last week.
Well, I was going to say, I hope there's a
looking for
family in the country, a black family, that's getting royalties from Aunt. I think there is.
Well, isn't the family the
Aunt
one that said they were mad that they took her off the bottle?
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Whatever
true.
happened to Mrs. Butterworth? Was that controversy?
Matt,
She's
stop
still
it.
around, I think.
She ran away with Chef Boyardee.
Oh, okay.
In other news, moving right along, today...
They're canning apricots somewhere over in Europe.
In Europe, he says.
Yeah.
They went to
They had to go to Europe to
Europe.
escape.
Yeah.
It was a tax deal.
Today is a national day of mourning to honor former President Jimmy Carter. Thursday, today marking Carter's official state funeral, which was held this morning at the Washington National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. A sad day for that reason, but also for Joe and I, because there's no postal service today, Joe.
No mail.
I hate
The
that.
federal government found a way to, on the back of Jimmy Carter, how to take
Did
the
you
day off.
did you see the Trumper sat with Obama?
What in the hell? I want a lip reader. What were they talking
But
about?
I
did
think
you
they got
see-
along just fine.
They did, and they were both kind of laughing and smirking. Did you see Kamala's reaction when she saw them talking to each other?
Yeah, she could haunt a house. I mean, let's go here.
And I have a report that the Bidens snubbed everybody when they came in.
I don't have that report.
Okay.
The only clip I saw was Trump and Pence meeting, which looked a little
I
uncomfortable.
don't think
cold.
Pence shaked his hand.
They did shake hands, Joe. But
She
Did they?
chose in baseball.
Yeah.
It looked
And they
uncomfortable.
shaked
Proving
their
Mom
hands.
do knows best.
Bob Dudes knows best.
Well, wait a minute. Why, why is he there?
Who?
Pence.
Who's
He's
a
not
former
in
You
city
vice
go,
office.
president.
he's a former vice president. You
He's got
go to honor a
third rail.
dead
He's
Got
president.
nothing better to do
What do you
right
mean?
now.
Why is he there?
Only, you know who Mike Pence was sitting with? Another former vice president. Come on.
Dan
think.
Quayle.
Think. No. Different party.
Joe Biden,
Gerald Ford.
Al Gore.
Al Gore.
Al Gore.
Oh,
sure.
They were
How's
sitting
Al
together.
looking these days?
He looks old. He looks like Al Gore, but older. Okay. In other news,
Leave Al
firefighters
Gore.
Catchy.
Firefighters battled early today to control that series of major fires in the L.A. area that has killed 5 people. Luckily, the ferocious winds have died down a bit, and it's not expected to be as powerful today. That could provide an opportunity for firefighters to make progress, reining in blazes that have hopscotched across the region, including massive ones in Pacific Palisades and Altadena. The latest flames broke out last night in Hollywood Hills, striking closer to the heart of the city and the roots of its entertainment industry. Within a few hours, firefighters had made major progress on the Sunset Fire in the hills. LA Fire Department Captain Eric Scott said because they were able to keep the fire in check. He said they hit it hard and fast, and Mother Nature was a little nicer to us last night than she was the day before. Meanwhile, celebrities hit hard by the fire. This is the story Joe doesn't want, but I'm going to do it anyway. Paris Hilton, Billy Crystal, Adam Brody among the celebrities. You've probably seen the interview with James Woods on CNN where he talked about his niece offering her piggy bank to help rebuild the house. Billy Crystal said in a statement that he and his wife were heartbroken by the loss of their home that they've lived in since 1979. Ricky Lake, TV host, told followers she had lost her dream home. Actors Anthony Hopkins, John Goodman, Anna Faris, and Carrie Elways also reportedly lost their homes. Other stars forced to flee included Star Wars actor Mark Hamill and Schitt's Creek actor Eugene Levy. Songwriter Diane Warren lost her home. Diane knows.
I heard an interview, I think it was Hannity's show. Hannity interviewed Caitlyn Jenner.
Okay.
And she lives on top of a hill in Malibu and prepares. She said no vegetation within 75 feet of the house. All of the house is metal except for the garage door, which is wood. And she has taken all kinds of preventive measures. So there's somebody that got her head on her shoulders.
The real problem here is we need to contain these celebrities to California. Because what's going to happen now is they're going to start looking to Montana and Wyoming and Austin, Texas, and every
Arizona,
other fun place in the country as their next home base. And we don't want those people out in the... No, not out in the real America. Keep them. They've got to stay in Cali.
In an effort to be Mr. FYI, I just got a video clip from loyal GLer Greg in which President-elect Trump is shaking hands with both Al Gore and Mike Pence today.
Yeah.
Well, the Donald is showing some social skills.
Okay.
Back to Caitlin, was it the topic ever brought up that fact that there was one point in his life where it was just easier to just whip it out and pee on the fire, and now it's just a completely different...
No, it's a completely different thing.
Right,
now.
it's a little more difficult now.
But do we know that for sure?
I don't know a thing about it. John, are you going to continue?
Please.
'Cause
Denmark.
wait a minute. I think we could spend 10 minutes on this.
I don't
That
want
would
to.
be the best part of being a trans. If you've moved from male to female,
Right.
You still keep the parts.
They're convenient.
So you can pee anywhere you want.
Anywhere, without any, just bam, you're done.
Okay, I can see that.
Denmark's
What's
foreign-
happening in Denmark?
The art
John?
of the
Well, Joe, Denmark's foreign minister said yesterday Greenland could pursue independence from Danish control if it wants to, but the world's biggest island is unlikely to join the U.S., they said. The minister's comments came as President-elect Trump has repeatedly expressed interest in acquiring Greenland. Greenland has been part of Denmark for 600 years, although the island has been gradually moving toward greater autonomy, achieving self-rule status in 2009. Yesterday,
Why does Iceland get all the pub and Greenland doesn't get any?
It's a great question.
Does anybody ever go to Greenland?
No. But if people go to Reykjavik.
Yeah.
in related news, Denmark's king updated the country's royal coat of arms, he said, as a symbolic response to Trump's attempts to purchase Greenland. The update includes removing a panel of crowns and enlarging a polar bear and a ram to represent the importance of Greenland and the Faroe Islands, respectively. Meanwhile, Mexico's president responding sarcastically to the president-elect's proposal to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Claudia Sheinbaum was standing before a global map in her daily press briefing, and she proposed that North America should be renamed America Mexicana because a founding document dating from 1814 that preceded Mexico's constitution referred to it that way. She also noted the Gulf of Mexico was named in 1607.
Boy, oh boy, that's a long time ago, isn't it, John?
It really is.
Thank you very much.
What a fun and surreal and stupid argument that is. I love that.
I got a
argument.
lot of emailers are saying that Trump's just Royce. He just trolls to beat hell.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, that's true.
Yep.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So the question was, I had this morning, I was thinking about that. Is Royce angry at Trump's trolling? Did he bite on the hook?
I wonder. I don't know.
Yeah.
You want to take a time out?
You cannot stop him. He'll just make a move. Joe Souchere.
GLers, we've got something new and exciting for you in 2025. This year, we're celebrating our biggest fans of the podcast by naming one member of our town council GLer of the week.
Really?
Each week
What do you
throughout the
get?
entire year of 2025, Joe, I'll tell you in just a moment. Make sure that you tune in every single Friday when the GLer of the week will be recognized on the show by Joe for being one of the biggest fans in all of Gumption County. The GLer of the week will be picked from the list of all annual town council members with an active membership as of this Sunday night. If you are already an annual member, great. You don't have to do anything at all.
What do you get?
Monthly members, you just need to update your subscription
Maple syrup tips.
to an annual subscription before Monday. And of course, if you're not a member yet, well, now is the time to join to become one of our first ever
What do you get?
GLers. GLer of the Week winners.
Can you get something?
Along with getting a salute on the show, this month's winner will also get a gift box from our good friends at Masters Maples.
Well, now you're talking. You called it.
I did call it.
With up to, just because he saw the copy.
Yeah.
With up to $50 in maple syrup
It's a
goodness.
cold read.
Shipped right to your door. It's shipped right to your door.
I shipped my maple syrup.
And your pants. Thanks for all of your support over the years, GLers, and good luck. Just go to garagelogic.com and become a town council annual member.
Chris, you control his microphone. I mean, at least the on-off part. He controls the part where he hits it and knocks it down, so it's now pointing at the floor. But as for everything else, you control it.
Let's go here. What do you got to say, Kenny?
Joe, GLer wrote to me. He wants a ruling from us, and I don't know why he wrote to me and not you, but here we go. I came home today to discover my wife had given away all 3 of my cats. She said they were driving her crazy with the shedding, even though I clean up the fur twice a week and make sure their litter boxes are spotless every day. These cats are clean, loving animals, and they've been with me longer than my marriage. I can't believe she would do that. When I confronted her, she flat out refused to tell me where she took them. I'm assuming they're in good hands, but I can't shake this feeling of betrayal. I'm devastated. The cats, Max, Oliver, and Luna, they were a huge part of my life. She didn't even ask me. Now I'm questioning everything. Her actions just feel so abnormal. Honestly, I'm considering divorce after this. Joe, am I overacting, or is this a line that should never have been crossed? What would you do? What should I do?
The line has been crossed. You should divorce her immediately.
Wow.
You're a cat guy, huh?
No, I'm not. But if this character thinks that highly of cats, she's right.
Yep.
They're long-haired cats. He
Get the hell
included
out
a
of there.
picture. They're long-haired cats.
I don't care.
Okay.
Kenny, I got something for you.
What?
Lay it on me.
All hail the Flashlight King.
Hail you.
I need to make a correction to something stated at the end of yesterday's show by Kenny. It is Hole in the Day Bay on Gull Lake, located just north of Brainerd, south of Disswa. This bay is actually home to the world's largest ice fishing event, the Brainerd JC's Ice Fishing Extravaganza. Greetings from the Brainerd Lakes area, Kenneth.
Kenneth, I'm sorry to say that you are wrong about, you might be wrong about, or right about the bay. You're definitely right about the fishing tournament. It's a hell of a party. But if you'll notice, right where 371 goes right up against the bay, if you look to the east, there's a tiny little lake there, and it's called Hole in the Day Lake. It's plainly marked on Google Maps.
I went on the maps, and I have to agree with Kenny. There is a lake called Hole in the Day.
But if you guys ever get a chance, go to that fishing derby. It is a lot of fun.
Weren't you the host once or something? Guest celebrity?
I'm trying to think.
Or
Yeah, when was that?
I don't know.
What's surreal is you look out there and you see all those people and you think, how can the ice hold them all up?
Yeah, that was in Brainerd, 3WI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only because they come to us all the way from Lake Las Vegas, Nevada, and the Traveling Lymans. It was on this day.
Joe, today is January 9th.
Well, it was on this day in 1840 that Wisconsin Territory formed St. Croix County in the area between the Mississippi and St. Croix. Dakota, a town platted by Joseph R. Brown and now part of Stillwater, was the county seat. And finally, on this day...
A quick one on Jan 9.
That's right. There's only 2.
Yep. Somebody's
I'm not
writing
sure-
today.
No, there's only 2, Matt.
Somebody's writing today.
No,
Are
Matt.
you writing clues today or are you writing a column?
Yeah.
On this day in 1977.
On January 9th.
On this day in 1977.
Well, Vikes lose the
Vikings.
Super Bowl.
In its 4th Super Bowl
Yeah.
appearance in 8 years, the Minnesota Vikings lost for the 4th time to the Oakland Raiders, 32-14.
What?
Rose Bowl?
They've lost
It was
4
in the Rose
Super
Bowl.
Bowls?
That means that
That's where you tried to hightail it out of there, right? Wasn't that one?
No, that was during a Rose Bowl.
Oh, okay.
This is a game played at the Rose Bowl, but it wasn't the Rose Bowl.
Was that a roller
This was
skater?
the Super Bowl. And let me tell you something. It's been 48 years since the Vikings have been in a Super Bowl.
Have you ever heard allegations of malfeasance on the Vikings' part with this game?
No.
I'll tell you about it sometime when we're far, far, far away from my.
We got to be off the council, huh?
I've not been alive
Yeah,
for
no
the Vikings
mics.
being in a Super Bowl.
Isn't that something?
I was born 10 months after that.
I'll be damned.
I was at a roller skating rink at Saints West, maybe.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
4 Super Bowls.
I was
That's
heartbroken that
just
they lost.
wonderful.
Okay, Matt.
Isn't it great that my parents shipped us off to a roller skating rink while they could have fun at
Thanks.
the Super Bowl?
You mean,
Thanks, GLers.
well, they could,
Right. Yeah, I'm sure Bob got good and liquored up.
little pregame action.
Shouting at the, they missed the kick. Oh, yeah, this team stinks.
Get the apricots. Here we go.
Jesus. Do us a favor. Hit subscribe on the Garage Logic YouTube channel. Yeah. Garage Logic has a YouTube channel, and you can join in on the fun each and every day starting at noon as we do the show live on YouTube. And you can also see full segments, video shorts, behind the scenes footage in some cases. It's all there for you on the Garage Logic YouTube channel. And you can follow us along on all of our social media channels. Just search for Garage Logic on Facebook, X, and also Rookie's favorite site, Instagram. It's
What
all
about
there
Cha?
for you. Well, you can do a
Okay,
Thursday Cha.
Yeah.
Writing Day Cha.
let's go.
Okay.
What are people seeing during the breaks?